Dance Marathon friends and family. I'm Tracy, and this is Olivia, and we are here to tell you part of Olivia's story. First, I just want to say how grateful we are to have Dance Marathon's support on Olivia's pediatric cancer journey. We are so grateful for what the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital is able to provide for us, and Dance Marathon supplements that so wonderfully. We have been so blessed to have the support of dancers visiting us when we were inpatient before the pandemic, and having the support of co-pays for expensive medications for Olivia's treatment. And it's just so wonderful to know that you guys are here to support us in one of our difficult times. And so thank you for all that you do for people like Olivia. Our journey began in October of 2019 when Olivia was 10 months old and she wasn't acting like herself. She ended up having some low-grade fevers and some odd bruising and some signs that things weren't quite right. She ended up with a double ear infection, and she had a course of antibiotics that didn't clear up the low-grade fevers and everything. So we ended up getting blood work done and at the local Genesis ER in the Quad Cities, and they ended up sending us that night via ambulance to Stead Family Children's Hospital to the 11th floor. Of course, we knew that something was wrong, but how much we were going to hear in the next 24 to 48 hours was something that we could not be prepared for. We showed up on the 11th floor, which is the hematology oncology floor, and though they tried to calm my fears, I just knew it was cancer. And we found out the next morning that Olivia had B-cell ALL, and then about a week or two later, after some genetic testing, they figured out that she had a very rare subtype of that cancer. She has Philadelphia chromosome positive B-cell ALL, which just is a gene mutation that is very common in adults with leukemia, but not at all common in infants with leukemia, so she is a rare case. But one of the great things about this hospital is there are people who were willing to take a chance on figuring out how best to treat her, and so they combined two different protocols to help her. We ended up being in the hospital for 10 weeks. When we were first diagnosed, Olivia's treatment was pretty hard on her. She ended up having to have part of her colon removed as part of an emergency surgery to save her life. Her bowel had perforated and she was going into septic shock. Thankfully, the surgeon here was able to perform what he needed to and then put in an ostomy. And so that is one of the many ways that our life has changed, and Olivia's life has changed, but she rocks it. And she had to learn how to do everything again because she was sedated and intubated and then had a major surgery. So for a couple weeks in the pediatric intensive care unit, she learned how to sit up again and how to do a few other necessary things, and we are grateful for the support that we received in the hospital for that. Eventually, we were able to go home. That was January 1st of 2020, after being in the hospital since October 22nd. That was a great day, and at home, Olivia has adjusted to returning to the hospital for treatments on clinic days. We've been inpatient for several weeks since then, but always just a week at a time, and so our life at home is really great. As you can see, we are at the hospital today for treatment, and on the 11th floor you get an excellent view of Waytenick Stadium, and we even purchased a cardboard cutout, so Olivia is out there in the stadium, though it's really hard to see from here on the 11th floor. Olivia has spent a total of 6 holidays in the hospital and her first birthday, and those days were tough. Milestones with your children is something that you kind of look forward to, and all of that changes when you have a sick kid. Being in the hospital is wonderful because of all the support that we receive for her health. But at home, there's comfort, there's love, there's memories being made. The sterility of the hospital, the lack of carpeting on the floors, the machines, the beeps, the interruptions, they're just not the same as what it's like at home. However, I can tell you that the hospital and the support staff and Dance Marathon and Child Life really make being in the hospital as great as it can be for these kids. We even had visits from Santa last year as we were here for Christmas, and Olivia definitely got more gifts than she probably would have if she'd been at home. And though they're not needed, it still is nice. Anyway, thank you for all that you do. Good luck fundraising. Thank you for letting us share part of our story. Say bye, Olivia.